All right, welcome to another episode of the Couch Coaches podcast, where we're talking everything sports. And we had a monster weekend, an amazing weekend for me and Brother Bill, because Niners are going back to the Super Bowl in the Raider Stadium. So this fits. Everybody has a piece of this today, which is nice. We're playing. It's your stadium. It's all good. So starting with the first game, and I'll just say, just as a blanket statement, I felt like the coaches lost both of these games more than the players involved in the games. But starting with the Ravens and their weird offensive play calling and whatever, Deacon Greg, I'm going to start with you. Thoughts on the Chiefs and Ravens game?
Thoughts on the Chiefs and Ravens game? I got to disagree with you on that game as far as the coaches caused that game. I think it was more on the players, and I would put a lot of it on Lamar for the way he played. I thought he tried to prove to everybody in the world that he's a pocket passer and try to really go head to head with Mahomes. And you know, it's the media and it's the way we always put it. You know, the quarterback gets all the credit and the blame, you know, for the wins and losses. Mahomes, you're not, when the quarterbacks are going head to head, he's not playing against Mahomes. He's playing against that defense. So he has to play against the defense that he's going against. He could have ran the ball a whole lot more instead of trying to be that pocket passer he was. And then you got to look at the receiver Flowers and the dumb bonehead things that he was doing. You know, that stand over the guy and throw the ball down and get, you know, cost your team 15 yards there and then come back and then try to dive into the end zone and a turnover there and stuff. So I put it more on the players than on the coaches in Baltimore, just from them not. And I really put a lot of it on Lamar for in a game like that. You got to lay everything on the line. It's almost like I had flashbacks of Cam Newton that time when he was in the play, and then he tried to do all this nonsense stuff and then play his style of play. And so I that's where I look at that game.
So one of my thoughts was, so one of the big stats that came out was that the Ravens, who was the number one rushing team in football, only ran the ball with their running backs 6 times. So I will say initially, that's why I'm saying I feel like it's a coaching thing, but I do know that players go to the line with multiple plays, and then depending on what defense they see, they pick whichever play they're going to run. So you think Lamar was picking the passing plays to be the dude?
Even if not that, even if it was a passing play, you seen when he was in the pocket, he still had time to move and run. He would wait till the last second and then try to either scramble out of it or throw a pass when he could have made decisions he usually makes decisions way quicker than that to get out of that pocket and go. When you don't see anything, he's gone. That's why I think that he was just trying to stay in that pocket for forever, trying to use his arm more than his legs. And I think he could have did a whole lot. He's probably almost as good as any running back they got on the team anyway. So even if it was a passing play, he could have ran the ball.
Yeah. Brother Bill, thoughts on the game?
Yeah, Deacon Greg said most of what I was going to say. I would sum up that game, I think, in 3 ways. Number one, by the Chiefs scoring that touchdown first, I think that for some reason, I don't know if panic is the right word, but the Ravens, even though they answered, I believe that set the tone for that game in terms of the Chiefs were ready. I mean, they were focused, they prepared, and they took it right to the Ravens defense. The second thing that stood out was the fact that the youth for the Ravens finally showed itself. They were getting frustrated because they were getting pushed around, even though the game was close, which to me, I think that's coaching. I think as a coach, if you see your players making dumb mistakes and getting rattled, I mean, maybe, you know, the coaching staff did that just to calm them down, because it was still a close game. There was plenty of time left in the game. Those 2 turnovers, the one Flowers, again, you mentioned that you cannot give up any yards in a big game. Standing, you know, getting that unsportsmanlike conduct in the red zone, that was a killer. Him fumbling near the goal line, if he had just stayed on his feet and just stayed upright, he would have scored instead of trying to dive for it, exposing the ball. Great play by the defender, but big games, every yard counts. The third thing, that interception that Lamar threw, he had no business throwing. I don't care if Likely was open. You cannot throw into double coverage, and then that was the game.
Triple coverage.
Well, yeah, I
there
think
was
the safety
the dude
came
was
over
over the
late to
top.
pick it off, but initially it was double coverage. But all in all, I just think the Ravens, they got outplayed. And it's not like Kansas City, they won with 17 points. So the other thing is that Steve Spagnuolo defense, they were ready for the Ravens. And the fact that the Ravens got away from the run, that's going to be the head scratcher all offseason. Forget the turnovers, but you're right. Only 6 running attempts in the whole game. That's even if you don't get more than 4 yards of carry, you stick with the running game, especially in a close game.
All right, brother James, I know you got stuck in traffic. I appreciate you joining us. Thoughts on that first game?
Well, it ain't much to say on that because them brothers done hit it all. But it I think it was probably 30% coaching and 70% players. The rookie dove, with the dive and deal with the turnovers. You can't, just like we always said, you can't turn the ball over in big games. I mean, in the league, expect to win. They made bad choices. The guy diving, and like Brother Bill said, if he would have stood up, maybe he wouldn't have made a touchdown, but they would have retained the ball. And so that was it. And then rushing, I mean, they are a rushing team. Lamar is a running quarterback. They strayed away from that, and I don't know if he was doing check down, he was changing the plays at the line or what. But it's just he didn't they did not play Baltimore Ravens football. I mean, that's the bottom line, and that's the reason why they lost. Had they played Baltimore football, I would they would have won. It would have been close, but they would have still won.
Yeah, they're when I saw their defense, who was playing, I mean, they couldn't get into field goal range in the second half. I mean, that's crazy. When I saw their defense, who was playing amazing, getting frustrated, I was like, oh, that's bad. Because I expected the offense to be frustrated, them making faces and doing stuff. And I mean, they did start making silly mistakes and the rookie stuff and the taunting stuff and the silly penalties. But when I saw their defense get frustrated, I'm like, these are the guys that are holding this game together. And I couldn't believe, after watching what we watched the Ravens do the last 5-6 weeks, after watching what they did with the absolute dismantling of our defense, I was just waiting, like, there's no way the Chiefs can hold this lead. Like 17 points is it's nothing. I mean, the Ravens averaged what, like 28 points a game this season, 30 points a game. I mean, they were, and the Niners are getting murdered and not abandoning the run game. And they abandoned the run game like in the first quarter. Like they're down 7 points and they're not running. I don't know what they're doing. It's Brother James put it perfectly. They did not play Ravens football at all. And I don't know if Spagnuolo just showed them something that threw all the dynamics off and they couldn't adjust to it, or if they outthought the room but it was, to me, I watched a pucker job big time on this game from the coaches and then from the players in the second half, which kind of happened in the afternoon game also. But I was shocked. And
But their defense played lights out in the second half.
Amazing. Well, in the first half too. I mean, only 17 points.
But in the second half, they only gave up 3 points the whole second half.
Right.
So,
Was it? Did they give up 3 points in the second half? I thought that didn't have 17 at halftime. Or was it just?
No, they gave a field goal in the second half. That's all they gave up.
Okay.
Yeah, they buckled down, and they gave. That's why I keep laying it on Lamar's feet, because they gave him all kind of opportunities in the
100%.
second half, and he just never. I blame it all. I put it more on Lamar. I want to get to Purdy later. I don't want to go there right now, but yeah.
Role quarterback, Purdy, you mean? Yeah. So so people are coming down on Lamar saying he can't play in the playoffs. Well, one, he hasn't shown that he's been like great in the playoffs. He did good against the Texans in the second half. He's been out of the playoffs for 2 years. It's not like he's doing this every year. Because Manning was not a good playoff quarterback for a long time, but he was in the playoffs every year. Lamar's finished, I think, the last 2 seasons hurt. So it's not like It's not like he's had like what is this, like his 5th season or something? It's not like he had 5 seasons of playoffs. He was in 2, didn't look great the first 2. He was out 2, and then he looked. I mean, the Ravens looked good, and I do think if they played Ravens football, that it would have been it would have been at least closer. But
You know,
that
even the way they played, they still could have won. I mean, if that turnover wasn't over there, and then that they were in field goal range when he threw that interception, that
Right.
right there, that was the tie. Those
game.
those 2 scores had the game tied right there. So even that we're saying all of this stuff and looking at it, and I hear one of the commentators say the game is a game of moments. So you're not going to have the perfect game, but you got to play. And when the moment arises, you got to capitalize on the moments. And they just didn't do that, you know. And we're looking for Lamar. I'm looking for him, and I'll speak for myself because he's been this MVP player, electrifying. I'm thinking he should have went out there and made it happen.
Yeah, and they were so good this year. There's a really good chance they lose both those coordinators because their offense and defense were I mean for the most of the season was I mean not just good, but they were lights out the whole season. But going to
Before we do that, so I just checked. So the Chiefs had all 17 of their points in the first half.
Yeah.
So the Ravens shut them out in the second half. And the Chiefs didn't turn the ball over. So you're right. The Ravens defense kept the game close. It was 17-7 at half, 2 possessions. So the story, and you always wonder, was the game lost in the first half or second half? I believe that the inability for the Ravens to play their game for most of the game after that first score was the reason why they lost. On both, I mean, offensively, defense did what it's could. Offenses didn't get it done.
well, even
And
that
like you said, they had that opportunity though. If that guy wouldn't have fumbled the ball at the
That's what I'm
one,
saying. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
right. But even so they could have scored those points, but they could have easily not gotten that first touchdown because that was a wild play that got that, you know, he was fully sacked and then launches the ball 40 yards downfield. I mean, that could have easily gone. I mean, that could have been a sack, it could have been a pick, it could have been incompletion. Their offense wasn't, I mean, the whole game wasn't Spagnuolo's I mean, he's a dude, and you got to remember, he's a guy that shut down Brady twice.
Right.
Which is that's not a small feat. But going into the second amazing, wonderful, stupendous, I can't think of more better words, but Brother Bill, Niners and Lions. Thoughts on the game, please.
Lions did what they needed to do in the first half to get the lead. The Niners did what they needed to do in the second half to win the game. They took advantage of opportunities in the second half. You could go through all the different plays. I mean, you know, you saw from the Ayuk, catch that should have been interception. I think, and you talk about the coaching decisions with Campbell to going forward on fourth, in short, which has been his nature all year, right? Regular season, but playoffs, we always talk about it as a different animal. I believe that championship teams have to win games like this in order to be champions. Not that there's no guarantee, but when the other team gives you an opening, you have to take advantage of it. And the Niners took advantage of it. They scored on all 5 drives in the second half. It reminded me, just watching the game, it reminded me of the Eagles game, where once they got on a roll offensively, they were able to just continue to score. And again, Detroit helped them out, and they gladly took advantage of it. And just, Detroit got away from their running game too in the second half, just like the Ravens. And we talked in this podcast last week about which team was going to control the line of scrimmage. It was the Lions in the first half, and they got away from and who's going to run the ball and stop the run. The Lions helped the Niners up by not running the ball much in the second half. And the Niners, by getting on that run in the third quarter and tying it up, they were able to stay balanced the rest of the game. And Brock did what he had to do to win the game. That's all I'm going to say. He made the plays. He got away with 2 that should have been intercepted. He got away with the one when he across his body, he threw it to Juwan Jennings and made a circus catch. And the one to Ayuk, that was a tight window for that touchdown to get within 7. But Purdy did what he needed to do in big moments. He used his legs when it was available, and that's why they're going to Vegas.
All right, Brother James, thoughts on Lions and Niners?
Well. I can't not totally agree or disagree with Bill was saying. Purdy did show up when he needed to. But it was coaching. I mean, 4th and 2, you gotta kick that field goal, or you gotta run the ball. You know, and they was trying to go for the home run on 4th and 2, and so it was bad decisions. Then you look at it. I mean, you had the Niners. That Ayuk catch, it was an amazing catch. I mean, hands down, he stayed with the play. It should have been intercepted. And then also it's almost like Detroit ran out of gas. You know what I mean? And they just their hopes and their hunger just died at near the end of the game. And so I think that, but it really boils down to, even though the coach is aggressive and he's been doing that all year, you can't do that in a playoff game. You know, you have to try to pad in that lead. You were up 17 points. You still padding that lead, not going for it. You kick the field goal. You know, 3 is worth more than 0. So that's my thoughts on that.
All right, Deacon Greg.
Yeah, before I even mention the game or talk about the game, I'm going to say this about Purdy, guys. Before I could even congratulate you and Bill on the win, and here's Bill. Is he average, or what is he? Okay, Bill. Okay, I'm trying to congratulate you, Bill. Can you let me do that, please?
I missed the congratulations, and I did say today that I missed it. So my apologies, my brother. Congratulations accepted.
So I will say this about him: he has something that you can't teach, and that's heart. Because he really showed me a whole lot in that game. Like I said, he made the plays when he needed to. It was a design pass. He couldn't see nothing. He got out of there. He ran. He came off the field one time bleeding out of the mouth. He just has no quit in him. So I'm going to give him that. And I take a quarterback like that any day that don't have any quit in him. As far as the game, I seen a picture today where I think Detroit almost thought they won the game in the first half. They thought they only needed to play one half. One of the guys at halftime, he's walking into the tunnel and he's waving goodbye to the 49er fans. I don't know if you guys saw that. Like, see you, go home. You can go home now. The game's over. And so I think they took that attitude into the locker room, and they didn't adjust or prepare or come back out to play a physical second half. And then, like you said, the coaching, the run, they got away from the running game. They were gashing you guys in the running game. They had a doggone 3rd and 13 or something and picked up 15 yards on that, couple times. They were just the running game was on. And to go away from that running game the way they did, like you said earlier, they just helped you guys out. But I'm not going to take anything from the 49ers, because you got it. Even if they're helping you, you got to still get it. And that's why I started out with Brock, because he went and got it. They didn't give it to him. He got it. He went and earned that. So I give you guys the credit. You won the game. You came back and won that game. But there were some coaching errors. What we already talked about, going for it on 4th down and all that nonsense stuff. You got to take the points when you have them, but you got to run the ball. It's working for you.
Yeah, one thing I did, and one thing too, like even with the coaching decision to not go for the field goal, those wide receivers, there was some puckering going on with the players. It's like they got tight and they're dropping balls that they were catching before. I mean, wide open dudes catching balls on 4th down and 3rd and longs, and it felt like it kind of had the same vibe as I don't know if it was 2018 or 2019. The Packers were playing the Seahawks, and the Packers were way up. And the game, you're looking at the game going, the game's over. And it's almost like the players shut off. And then when the other team comes back and punches them in the mouth, especially as fast as the Niners did in the 3rd quarter, I mean, erasing that deficit of 1 quarter is like, they come out, they're killing them, they turn around and it's tied. That's got to be a shock to the system. But there's something with football, and I think because it's such an emotional, physical game, that when you think you're done, something shifts off, and it's really hard to click that back on. And I just remembered they were talking about it today on one of the shows I was listening to, just how the Seahawks came back and just punched the Packers in the mouth, and they ended up winning the game, a game that looked like it was completely done. In the first half, you're down by that many points. it doesn't look good. I mean, because it didn't look like we were in control of any facet of that game. They were killing us. The runs, the passing, the defense, like everything looked like. I'm going. Did we plan? Did we know we were playing the Lions? Like our game plan looked so bad. It's like, did we look at the wrong tape from the wrong team? Because it was awful in the first half. But Purdy, the dude doesn't get affected by whatever happened before. He's almost like a baseball player. Like he's got that short-term memory. Like whatever happened the last doesn't matter. It's whether it was a rough, whether he did great and scored a touchdown or didn't. He's just the dude's cool and calm. And I know he's a little guy, and I know he doesn't look like, the stereotypical big time quarterback, but his mentality, he's definitely got the right mentality. I love it.
The other thing that stood out to me was the Debo effect. And we said, last week that, and I think Deacon Greg, you called it, that Debo was the key. McCaffrey, hard running, sure. Purdy, quarterback, sure, but Debo is the heartbeat of that team. And it showed from the early on when he was getting touches. He got up with energy. He brought the energy and the physicality to the game when they needed it. I mean, I knew when they said 50-50 chance he plays. No, I said, no, he's playing. He's worked too hard all year to get back to this point.
Bill, but I have to say that shocked me though, because we were talking about that. I said he's just going to be out there for a decoy. I didn't think he was going to be as tough as he was, and that was a big factor because he was running that ball, and I couldn't even tell if he had a shoulder injury because he wasn't trying to protect nothing. He was putting it all on the line.
Well, he sure was. I think he got them shots. But yeah, he was doing it.
A lot of shots.
He got whatever he needed to try to get to Super Bowl, and that's what you like about team sports is when players. That's the thing about playoffs. We said playoff, it's pressure on both sides, and you either gotta come up to the pressure or it can get to you. And I think in both the Ravens and the Lions case, the Ravens I didn't expect as much as they were at home, but the Lions, the third quarter avalanche. Once it was even, I mean, crowd was going nuts. I mean, everything, and I'm like, oh, it's on now. See how they respond.
And I finally did hear you guys crowd, Bill. I finally heard it.
Well, I'll tell you what, there were about 20% Lions. The Lions fans were making a lot of noise at halftime. But one thing I did like is that the Niner fans, we weren't booing. I've watched other games where the home team has been down big and the fans are booing their team at halftime. I'm like, what are you doing? You're supposed to be encouraging your players. It's only halftime. We didn't do any of that. And that first field goal just to get on the board. And then from there, I think time's on your side when it's only halftime. And you're right about the coaching. Shanahan got in a groove coaching wise and started calling. I would say it's probably one of his best coach games. And I've been watching him since he got there. Didn't sit on the lead, continue to mix it up, and we'll see what happens in 2 weeks.
Yeah, everything I heard about people say, well, like, what was the locker room like? Like, you guys are getting murdered in the NFC Championship game. This game you're supposed to just roll through. After almost losing the game, you're supposed to roll through the week before, and they're like, everybody was calm. They just said, we just need a couple stops. We just need to do this, and they made the adjustments and started playing. The defensive line was playing a little bit better. Lions helped him out in a handful of instances, and it was awesome. It was awesome. All right, so moving on. So this is directed just for the Raiders fans. So because they're playing in your stadium, and you have a division rival, and you have like a former regional rival. And a stat I heard earlier that I texted to two of you guys that I think is one of the most amazing stats I've ever heard in my life, and makes this even better. So the question is going to be, who do you want to see win less? Like who's gonna hurt more if they win the Super Bowl in your stadium? But if it is the Chiefs will have more wins in Allegiant Stadium than the Raiders do. And I don't want the Chiefs to have that record, but that is a very, very funny record to have against the Raiders. But Brother James, I'm gonna start with you. Who wins and it kills you? Is it the Niners or the Chiefs?
Oh my gosh. Can they not both play at all? I mean,
Until the Super Bowl.
Cal Super Bowl. This is just everybody got COVID.
The lights aren't going to go out like in 2012 in the dome. That's not going to happen this time.
Everybody caught COVID. Oh gosh, man. Who would hurt less? Okay, well, I mean, they are in the AFC, so you know we do want to keep the title in the AFC. So I mean, I don't care about the stat about them the Chiefs winning more in the Allegiant Stadium than us. I mean, we just got in the Allegiant Stadium. You know, we only been there for a couple years. So I'm gonna go with the Chiefs winning.
So you would rather see the Chiefs win than the Niners?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that because you're surrounded by Niners fans, like when you go to church?
I'm not, well, it's a lot. It was a lot of, because you know what, y'all are disrespectful.
Yeah.
And, okay, and so because of the disrespect, I mean that's just it. You hear all the Niners fans talking about, oh, we're gonna go in the middle of the field and do a dance. Okay, you know, I mean, respect our stadium. You know, you finally get to play in a world-class stadium.
But that's what the
You
trophy
know-
presentation is. They don't do it in the locker room. If that's where they give the trophy, then
Yeah,
that's all.
but you know, but the deal of it is the disrespectful. The disrespectful. So yes, I'm pulling for the Chiefs.
All right.
How is that? Just tell the commissioner that they need to move the trophy presentation somewhere else. Then it's not the fans' fault.
It's the fact that they talking about, oh, we gonna be dancing all on y'all field. Well, I mean, okay, we understand that part. Okay, you ain't got to tell us.
Oh, okay. Oh, I got you. Okay.
Stuff you just keep to yourself and
Gotcha.
say, hey, you know, out of respect, yes, this is a
Okay.
stadium. We are gonna be happy, but you know, let's respect the stadium.
Okay. Understood. Okay.
You
Duly
know, I mean,
noted.
like if we went to Levi. You know, we ain't gonna be like, oh, we did the crip walk up in the Levi Stadium. I mean, come on now.
Okay. Duly noted, my brother.
All right. Deacon Hill, who do you want to win less?
Brother James is right on time. It's the fans. I told you guys are so, first of all, you're so wishy-washy. You just you should have seen the texts that I was getting and stuff when you guys were down. You should have seen your fan base, the guys that I know that I went to high school with and stuff like that. You guys are, you know, either you're on top of the moon or you're under the dang on world or whatever. And that's what I can't stand about you guys. You guys, and then when you win, oh, you just all of that in a bag of chips and everything else. Can't even congratulate a guy because he's going to be talking smack to you the whole time. And that stupid stat that you said put up, like that they're going to have more wins. Like Brother James said, we just got in that stadium. We got a lot of more games to play. We got a new coach. We're going to win a whole lot. So that stat can go out the door to wherever it came from. That's the stupidest stat in the world. That's just some talking point that somebody made up. But back to the 49ers and the Chiefs, who I want to win. And I will say I have to disagree with James because I don't like either one of the teams, but I can't stand the Chiefs with a heartbeat, with a passion, because we play them, you know, they're in our division. We play them twice a year, and I just can't stand them. And I remember they used to, back when they had Schottenhammer as their doggone coach, they used to call it Raider Week. And they had all this crap that they did all week long for the Raiders. So I can't stand the Chiefs with a passion. I do not like the 49ers. But I'm around a lot of 49ers. But you guys get on my doggone nerves. All of you guys.
All of us, Greg.
All of them. Everyone, not just you two. All.
Me too.
The only one that only one that don't get on my nerves is Rhonda Jacobs. She's the only one.
Amen.
Shout out to you, Rhonda. Rhonda, I got to take lessons from you. Okay.
Oh, we got to get Rhonda to step it up. We got to
No, she's the only one that don't get on my nerves.
I agree with you on that. I agree. You know, but that, I mean,
but I will. I'm gonna, and it's hard because I told Bill and Joe today. They're texting me today with that stupid stat and stuff, and I said, you know what? I'm debating on who I need to want to pull for, and you guys are making it easy for me to go the other way. But I'm not going to do it. I'm going to go. I'm going to go for the Niners.
You would rather the Niners win than the Chiefs?
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
I'm talking about. I'll take it any way I can get it.
I'm with you, Deacon Greg. I can't stand the Chiefs either, but it's just these Niner fans really push me over there. So I'm sticking with the Chiefs. But
I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
So here's my question then. It seems like I remember back in 2014, there was a certain Raider fan who was in my face all the time when the Seattle Seahawks beat the Niners on Thanksgiving and they were eating a turkey on the 50-yard line. I had to hear about that forever. And this is a Raider fan. It's not even a Seahawks fan. I had to hear that forever. And it happened to be someone who's on this podcast. I'm not going to mention any names, but I had to hear it. So I'm just saying, and to me, that was disrespectful because it's coming from someone who's not even a fan of the Seahawks. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Because Bill, that was called payback.
Payback
All the
for
stuff
what?
that you
I hadn't even, the only way I wronged him was I led him somehow to believe that I was a Raider fan when I was saying I was a Bay Area fan. We
Oh,
won't get
yeah,
into
that-
that
oh, you
again.
trying to say me? No, okay, no, you didn't want to go there. You did not want to go there. First of all,
That's right.
I didn't even make an analogy about you disrespecting that stadium. That you can do whatever you want to in that stadium because that don't matter. When you guys get up out of there, we're gonna take all that crap and throw it in the garbage and move on to the next Raiders season next year. But this is Bill. This is why me and Bill are oil and water. You guys want to hear this, everybody? One day,
Get him, Deke.
over 20 years ago, I met Bill minding my own business in choir rehearsal. Come into choir rehearsal, I had on my Raider jacket, and Bill out of nowhere, I didn't ask him, don't know, it's nothing. He comes up to me, oh, another Raider brother. Oh, and he's giving me high fives and all this stuff. I'm like, oh, cool. Oh, you Raider too? Right on. Oh, yeah, Raider. About 2 weeks go by. Next time I see Bill, he has on all 49er stuff. Bill, what you talking? I thought we was Raider. I'm a Bay Area fan.
Them shady Niner
Sure.
fans, shady Niner fans.
And there are plenty of Bay Area fans. It's okay.
Why did you have to
Okay.
approach me as a Raider fan though? You could have just came to me right there that first day and said, "Hey, you."
I
Raiders, I'm a
didn't
Niners
say
fan."
another Raider
we
fan like I
wanna
was a
be
Raider fan.
cool.
I said a Raider fan.
No,
Raider
you called me
fan.
Raider brother. Oh, Raider brother.
Well, you're a Raider fan and you're my Mel Kors brother. I put the two adjectives together. That's okay. We learned that in school.
No.
Shady.
So me and Bill been on this slippery slope. That's been 20 years. 20 years.
So the reason we're in this mess is because you guys beat them on Christmas because they said when they lost to you guys, they're like, something's wrong. We got to figure this out. And that's why they're on this upward trajectory. They said that Raiders game was the game that everybody went, everything clicked after that. So I blame this on you. But I would still rather.
You haven't even lost yet.
I'm not gonna lose. What are you talking about? This is our
Why
year.
are you blaming us then?
This is our year. Getting that chip. We'll talk about that next week. I don't want to get into that now. But obviously, I'm going for us. So that's clear.
Let's go, Chiefs. Let's go.
You're gonna have one of those big Chief drums at your house.
Yeah.
Whatever they do.
I have to figure out what to do Sunday. There's no football on. I'm not gonna bother with the Pro Bowl. It's not even. I have plenty else to do. I won't be watching.
It's better the way they do it now than the way they did it with having that like lame game, like what they do. It's just the skills competition and stuff. I think that's cooler.
They got rid of the flag football. Good.
Oh no, the flag football. No, the game before where it was tackle, but it was really like flag football. That was
Yeah. Keep that.
Yeah. Okay. All right, you guys. We're gonna have kind of gonna be a slow weekend. It's gonna be a hard weekend to get through without football. I will agree. Plus the biggest game the weekend after. But I know something good will come up, and we will. We're gonna go through what we think's gonna happen in the Super Bowl next Tuesday. So that should be a fiery one. But thank you guys very much, and we will see you next Tuesday.
Hey, Greg, before you go, you can stop recording, Joe. Hey,